First, we want to kick things off with This Week In, This Week In. It's our look at some of the fanatics, the fools, the morons, and the miscreants who caught our attention this week.
All right, let's get started. This week in the war on the poor. Kansas Governor Sam Brownback is set to sign a bill that prevents anybody on welfare from spending their money on movies, going swimming, getting their nails done, and a host of other activities. Quote, "This feels a little extreme." That's from Ebenezer Scrooge. All right.
Yeah.
Roy.
Yeah.
Why does the state care? Is it because they're spending their money, they feel like they can do whatever they want?
Yeah, it's not really about whether the money's being spent in the right way or the wrong way. It's about shaming the poor. Because living at or below the poverty line isn't punishment enough.
Right. Well, that's the thing I don't get.
Yeah.
Why have we decided that poor people deserve the worst of everything? You can't get your nails done?
Yeah.
You can't swim? I mean, swimming isn't even like a luxury. It's what you have to do sometimes.
Well, it depends which movie and whether you get the, the French nails or something. But this is actually not just in Kansas. This is all across the country. They're passing laws like this. There's 12 states that demand that you have to take a drug test before you can get your welfare money. I mean, it's part of this whole myth, right?
Well, first of all, it pisses me off because the people signing the laws to make you have to take the drug test themselves often have cocaine on them. In fact, you're more likely to have cocaine in the Senate than you are on welfare.
Yeah.
For some reason, they have this top-down, patronizing, condescending thing about how bad they are. You said it's happening all over the country.
It's happening all over the country. In Missouri right now, they just put a law in this week that you cannot have steak or lobster because we know how much poor people love surf and turf. Yeah, can't get enough.
I don't know. I think that we have to have sensible laws, and this is simply not a sensible law. But what makes it so frustrating for me is that the people who vote for these laws are often the people who need this stuff. In other words, poor people vote against welfare all the time because we've constructed these myths about the poor. Poor people are lazy. Poor people make a lot of babies. Poor people have too many drugs. Poor people make it rain in the strip club. I've been to a lot of strip clubs this week alone, and I have yet to see a poor person in there.
Well, it's part of the old welfare queen thing, you know, that Reagan started in '76. You know, the woman in Chicago driving up to the office in her Cadillac to get a government check.
Right.
Yeah, I think there may be a racial component to this.
Well, that's the thing. We racialize poverty so that, again, people who don't like black people will not like these policies, even though the policies ain't really for black people, they're for white people.
Well, this is the thing I love, though. You got to look at, we're going to show the audience here, what the website for the Kansas Welfare Department looks like. Now, take a look at that. Yeah, what do you notice there? Yeah, it's a nice white family and a bunch of flowers looking at a windmill. That's what happens every day, right, with you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the funny thing is, that should be what the face of welfare looks like. Most people on welfare are white, female, and young. But when we want people to vote against welfare, we make it black. We make public schools black, public transportation, public housing, public assistance. We make everything public black so that white people won't like it.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, you know, for all this, you know, we're spending too much money, they're using it, they get $18 a day. I mean, really, what are you spending on $18 a day? The real question that I have is whether the people of Kansas, the welfare people of Kansas, can buy the same thing that everybody in Kansas wants the most.
What's that?
A bus ticket out of Kansas. Yeah. All right, next up, this week in Stand Your Ground for Jesus. A churchgoer's loaded gun accidentally fired during an Easter Vigil Mass at the Cathedral of the Blessed Sacrament in Altoona, Pennsylvania. The semi-automatic weapon safety was off and the trigger caught on the man's pocket, firing off a shot and grazing his hand. Yes, these days it seems the answer to the age-old question is always, yes, that is a gun in his pocket, and no, he's definitely not happy to see you. Now, Mark, I get that this is as American as you can get. Gods and gun in a church. I mean, if you just had an apple pie, it would be perfect.
Right.
But I really don't understand this. Can you explain to me? I know you're a gun owner.
Why do you assume I'm a gun owner, Roy?
Well, you know, because you...
It's because I'm black, isn't it?
Yeah. What would Jesus pack? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That and my guns,
That your guns.
No, I have guns, yes. I own guns. I don't carry guns anymore.
But why would you ever take it to church? Well, I don't understand that part of it.
The logic isn't that there's somebody in church going to shoot you. The logic is there's somebody waiting outside of church with a gun, and they know you ain't got one.
Yeah, but don't all the studies show that you're more likely to get killed with your own gun, more likely to have suicide in the house? I mean, isn't that the point, that it's not this...
No, look, there are bad people in the world. And you need guns. You need guns to protect your house. You need guns to protect your family. You need guns not to protect property, but to protect life. I think that's not a bad thing. And I'm not one of those people, even though I'm as hard left as they go, I'm not one of those people saying give up the guns. Now, I'm not an NRA nut either. I'm not saying that you should have all guns all the time. You don't need a rocket launcher to protect yourself like the NRA thinks. But you do need reasonable guns and gun legislation.
Yeah, but the thing about this law is you can then...
See,
okay, there's the gun lover.
The guy with the gun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hushers. Get this guy out of here, yeah. No, here's the thing, though, Mark. This law says that you can have a concealed weapon without even get a permit. I mean, don't you think you should have to have a permit, let alone
You
training?
want government surveillance on the guns?
No, I just want training. I mean, you have to train to drive a car. Our police officers have to train. Do you want? We see what happens with them.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah. So, do we want people without the training out there?
You don't have a constitutional right to drive a car. You have a constitutional right to a gun. So I think there is a difference.
Have a well-armed militia.
Yeah, but if we move that forward to the 21st century, it means we have a responsibility to allow citizens to protect themselves from not just other bad people, but also from an unjust government arising. But hear me out. I'm not the gun nut. I'm not the guy thinking that if the government does strike against us, I can pull out my 6-shooter and stop these tanks and hovercrafts that are coming. I was in Ferguson and saw what their government can do. I don't think a single person's gun can stop that.
Okay, well, speaking of Ferguson, the NRA wants everybody to have a gun. Do they want the guys in Ferguson to have a gun? Do you think that's the answer?
No, white people never want black people with guns.
Yeah.
Ever since slavery, every piece of gun legislation has been to stop poor people and black people from getting guns. White people don't want black people with guns.
That's because they've seen Django Unchained, and you saw what happened. Jamie Foxx was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, it's a great ending. It's a great ending.
Yeah.
That's
For you
my
guys.
favorite. Yes. All right. This weekend. It really was a great ending. All right. This weekend, something happened somewhere in Africa.
Yeah.
All right. A militant terrorist group stormed Kenya's Garissa University college campus, and they singled out and they killed 148 students who were all Christian. Now, despite the horrific nature of the attack, it has barely been a blip on the media radar. If only Garissa University had made the Final Four.
Yeah, there would have been more coverage.
Yeah, been a lot more coverage.
Yeah.
Look, here's the thing. There are news stories, 24-hour cable news. There are news stories on the internet. There are news stories on blogs. But somehow the only thing we talk about is the Final Four. We talk about the Kardashians. And of course, we talk about what happens when white people die. Why does Africa never get the coverage?
I would throw that back at you, Mark. Why is it that when, Natalie Holloway goes missing, Nancy Grace has an orgasm, but when a black girl goes missing, not much coverage?
Exactly.
What is the answer, in your learned opinion, Professor Hill?
They're black.
They're black.
Yes, it's really kind of that simple. We don't
Is it
care.
that simple?
We don't care. Excuse me, white people in the audience, and it's a lot of you. White people, you're about to get uncomfortable. No, white people don't care when black people die. It's not that they want black people to die. They just don't find it that interesting. That's why we never show it on TV. TV networks show what people want to see. They like when white girls are missing in Aruba. It's compelling. Black people missing isn't compelling.
But is it only white people? The president of Nigeria, when Charlie Hebdo happened, 2,000 people were killed in Nigeria by Boko Haram. He didn't even mention it.
Oh, yeah, he waited like 2 weeks.
Yeah, he waited 2 weeks. He was just talking about Charlie. So it's not just white people.
Nobody loves white people more than black people. Don't get me wrong. That's what I'm saying. That's the problem. Nobody cares about black life.
But here's the thing I don't understand. I understand that we feel we can connect to something from a narrative when we can relate to it, right?
Yes, white people can't relate to black people. That's my point.
I'm saying the plane crash goes down. We get it. We are all on planes, But let's look at this case in Kenya. They were college students.
No, they weren't. They were black college students.
That's it for you?
Yes, they were black college students. It's different.
But they were
black
Christians.
They were Christians. They were black Christians.
That's it for you?
It's the that's what I'm trying to tell you. If the airplane had been black, they wouldn't have cared about it.
No.
People don't care if it's black people on the plane. It puts them off in a different mindset because we think of Africa as this far-off place where bad stuff happens. Famine, disease, revolution, starvation. That's what people think of when they think of Africa, and so they're like, "Oh, this shit's supposed to happen there."
Is this? Can we blame the pop culture on this? I know, I'll be honest. My first understanding of Africa was Tarzan movies.
Oh, God.
Bone Through the Nose, Ooga Booga, right? King Kong.
Yeah.
I mean, is that what's
Gilligan's
informed all this?
Island? Everything from anthropology up to like Gilligan's Island or pro wrestling. Like Abdullah the Butcher who would eat people. He's from the Dark Continent. All that shit makes you think that Africa's a bad place. And if we keep having in our minds that Africa's a bad place, it's not even on our radar.
But how come we cared when ISIS destroyed the statues? They're connected to Al-Qaeda.
They were white statues, by the way.
Oh, was that the problem? They're kind of brown.
Yeah.
But how come it's so far off our radar?
It's off our radar because we think of Africa as somewhere else. Africa's off the radar when John McCain didn't vote to blow it up.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click here for more videos.
And make sure to catch new episodes Friday at 9 p.m. on HuffingtonPost.com.